Hey guys, welcome to my channel. My name is ReadingBear and I hope you are ready for some more stories. And today, we'll take a look at some new malicious compliance content. If you enjoyed my content, please don't forget to subscribe to my channel and post some bear emojis in the comment. And now, let's dive right into the stories.
First one is titled, "You can only use the discount on items that you're buying for yourself." This happened earlier whilst clothes shopping with my girlfriend. We were at a clothing store that sells both men's and women's clothes. Every year in September they offer a student discount before the university college term starts, and this year it was a big 20% off all non-sale items. We decide to do two separate transactions due to one item being a gift for her friend, and my girlfriend goes first. When it comes to paying, I show my student card as I'll be the one paying, only to get, "Sorry, we can only accept the discount on items you are purchasing for yourself." Cue the malicious compliance. We both look at each other and my girlfriend tells the cashier not to worry, that she doesn't want to proceed and will put the items aside. The cashier next to the person serving us becomes available and I go to her whilst this conversation is going on, as nobody else is in the queue and we are doing two separate transactions. Initially I was going to purchase a pair of jeans, but I pick up all the items that my girlfriend has just put aside. I go to pay and show my student card. Cashier number 1 butts in abruptly. I've just told him that the discount can only be applied on items he's purchasing for himself, to which I respond, "I'd like to purchase this jumper, 3 thongs, a blouse and skirt for myself please." Cashier number 2 is grinning whilst cashier number 1 is lost for words and bumbles. She, referring to my girlfriend, "Just put them aside, are you sure they are for you?" My response was, "Yes, they are definitely for me. I'd been eyeing up those items and took a fancy to them. When I saw they were put aside, I jumped at the opportunity to purchase them. Do you think they'll suit me?" Cashier number 1 storms off. I pay and get the 20% discount. Next one is titled, "Company called me average, so I became average." So, this isn't malicious compliance in the exact sense of the word, but pretty much the same effect. I, 26 male, started my first job after college 3.5 years ago. I was hired with a group of 25 people. I used to run a lot of clubs in college and had this "I need to finish my job as best as I possibly can" attitude when I first joined. I was good at what I did and put in considerably more work than other people who joined with me. Another huge motivation behind this was that since the initial pay wasn't good enough, I wanted to impress with my work and get a really good raise at the end of the year. So, throughout the year, I kept working late hours, stayed at the office for 10+ hours on a regular. The way our work dynamic was, I was the only one under my manager and we were both supposed to share the work on the projects. And slowly and steadily my manager started noticing I'm taking up extra stuff and he started offloading his work onto me too. Now I was essentially doing my own job and half of his job as well, and had reduced the time it took to do those things by at least 40%. I was stressed and overworked but was getting exceptional weekly ratings, so I felt it was worth it. How naive I was. Appraisal time came and I went into the one-on-one with my manager. This guy tells me that while I have one of the best performance ratings in the company, they're not allowed to give freshers a huge raise, and I received the same raise that others who joined with me did by doing the bare minimum. I was upset. I told my manager that since the company has declared me average, that he should expect average performance from now on. He laughed there thinking I was kidding. I wasn't. Next day onwards, every task that would be done in 2 hours now needs 8. Won't stay in the office for more than the agreed upon 8.5 hours. Won't finish up lunch quickly to get some more work done. Won't do any of your job for you. Oh, the client is asking for this document that I prepared in an hour? Sorry, an average person wouldn't do it in less than 4, so I'm going to keep it with me while I take the next 3 hours to figure out how to update the table of contents. It takes 3 clicks, by the way. Oh, there's something you need to ask after work hours? Sorry, it'll have to wait till tomorrow. Complaints started coming in quick about the delays in deliverables. Manager started spending a lot of time frustrated because he wasn't very good to begin with and now I wasn't taking up his workload. I spent the entire year working 2 hours a day while I spent the rest of the time listening to music, browsing Reddit and watching him struggle. Left at the end of the year for a job that paid 3 times the salary. Some details of our projects get published online, and last I checked this guy was running 7 to 8 months behind on some of the projects and, from what I heard from some of my friends in the company, didn't get any raise last year. Next one is titled, You think we are too close together? Okay then. So, I'm a swimming teacher and due to COVID, most of our school classes have been put on hold. When things were getting better, one of the schools which we used to teach told us they want to conduct their school swimming programs again throughout 4 days for 2 weeks. Only this time they will be holding it at a club since they were the only place which allow them to book as public pools still do not allow school program swimming. The pool is a 8 lanes pool and we book 4 lanes which we separated in the middle so we can have 8 group running at one time. Please note that each group consists of 1 swimming teacher and 4 students, and they are not allowed to intermingle as a safety measure. Yes, the students are side by side in the different lanes but we try to work with what we have and the school was the one who suggested it in order to have the swimming classes. There were members from the club who swim in the swimming pool and after seeing us teach, complained to the club management that we were all too close together and there was no safety distance between groups. Cue malicious compliance. The club management talked to the school telling us to either break the classes up to 20 minutes classes so that the groups will be smaller or book the whole pool. So, the teacher booked the whole pool. The next day when we came, we told the lifeguards to get the club members, who were the same one who complained that there was not safe distance between groups, out as we have booked the whole pool. We then ensure that all our group have at least 1 empty lane between each group and we continue with our classes. Some of the members were unhappy and continue to swim in our lanes which we book, swimming over the lanes ropes which we have set up in the middle which split the pool in half. We got our lifeguard to get them out since we booked the whole pool as per management suggestion and when the members still did not want to come out, called the club management to deal with them. Club management came down and had a chat with the members who were still in the pool and refused to get out as they had paid good money to be in their club and we have every right to use your facilities. How dare you allow them to book the whole pool? Which the management and the teachers replied in the tone of, you were the one who complained that the students were not following any safe distance so we booked the whole pool in order to ensure that our students are safe. Would you want us to continue to book the whole pool for the next few days? The members gave up and for the rest of the time we were there, we were back to our 4 lanes. Next one is titled, Airport MC turns into a paid for holiday. There were a couple of airport MCs a while ago and it reminded me of what happened to my husband and I a few years ago. It starts a similar way but has a pretty sweet ending. After a wonderful few days visiting New Orleans, hubby and I were on our way back to Europe. We had to make a connection in Boston and needed to collect our luggage to check them in again onto the following flight. We had no issue at check-in for the first flight but when we got to the desk in Boston, the member of staff told us our bags were too heavy. After some back and forth where we tried to figure out why they were fine for the previous flight but suddenly they weren't for this one, the employee wouldn't budge because of an obscure company policy that wasn't even on their website, and they were adamant we pay the extra there and then. They were visibly annoyed, and barely civil, when we politely declined and told them would be back. They want our bags to be lighter? No problem, we will make our bags lighter. We walked away from the desk and put some extra layers of clothes on as well as filled our pockets with some small but heavy items all while still very visible from the employee. We looked more like misshapen voodoo dolls than actual humans. They were not impressed to say the least. But here's the cherry on the cake. As we were rejoining the queue to check in, I hear an announcement about our flight. Turns out the company had overbooked it and they were looking for passengers willing to be transferred to the following flight instead, which was 2 days later. As compensation, these passengers would be put up in a hotel for 2 nights for free, get breakfast and dinner paid for and receive €600 each. Yes, you read properly. It took my husband and me a whole of 30 seconds to decide we would take them up on the offer. We were both self-employed at the time with no commitments on the 2 days following our planned return date, and neither of us had ever visited Boston. Plus, we had just gotten engaged so it seemed like a great way to keep celebrating. When we got to the desk, the staff member looked at our rather bulky attires and barely managed to hold back the eye roll, but when we said we were volunteering to be moved to the next flight, their manager was so glad they treated us like royalty, which made the original employee even more annoyed. While we were waiting for the paperwork to be done, we put all our extra layers back in the bags, with huge grind on our face. We were transferred to a super nice hotel. Our room was basically a 1-bedroom flat. The bed was so wide I could have slept perpendicularly in it, and spent 2 fantastic days discovering Boston, and being paid to do so. Turns out no one else took the offer so they didn't manage to free up enough space for the group they had overbooked. Paying for our stay didn't help their situation at all. But that didn't tarnish our experience one bit. Had we not decided not to be bullied in paying extra by a rather rude employee, we would not have heard the announcement and would have missed out on a pretty sweet adventure. Next one is titled, All of my employees wear white shirts. This is from the 80s. I was the East Coast expert on a big mainframe company network gear. I was associated with the manufacturing plant, but I did customer site visits to help field engineering either install or more often fix installations that were not working. On customer visits, it was suit and tie. Since I often worked in computer rooms, I never wore white shirts because of the dirt issue. Plus, to be honest, they make me look like the Stop Puff Marshmallow guy. Normal was an up and down striped button-down shirt in a blue, pale green, etc. Fly to Boston to work with a sales droid on configuration of a system they were trying to sell to a big bank. Sales droid says minor change. First we need to go to this mandatory sales droid meeting headed up by the regional VP of sales. Fine. Get there. Sea of white shirts, ties and me in my colored shirt. Sit in 5th row, room has about 50 to 60 droids. Regional VP gets on stage, doing his best, excite the troops to go out and sell millions, speech. Clapping and cheering, etc. Mid-sentence he sees me and stops. Hey you, where is your white shirt? Look around. Figure he may be talking to me, so I point to myself. Yay, you in the blue shirt. All of my staff, everyone that works for me wears a white shirt. Okay, good to know, thanks. Thanks? Get out. And don't come back until you are wearing a white shirt. You want me to go, and not come back unless I'm wearing a white shirt? Yes, get out now. So I get up, walk to the aisle, turn and go. Hey, do you know who I am? No, I don't ducking know who you are and I don't ducking care. Out. Super. Then for the rest of you, I'm Kilted Turtle, the East Coast expert in networking, product out of plant name, and I work for the director of engineering there. So I don't work for him, and it's unlikely that I'll be back since I don't own a white shirt. Left. Flew home. Frantic voicemails from the sales droid about his customer. Next day, dropped into director of engineering's office to give a trip report. He starts, so Kilted Turtle, you were a big hit at the sales meeting. VP of sales called to apologize and wants you to come back. Nope, not going to happen. He comes here, wearing a colored shirt and apologizes to me, I'll consider it. He's not going to do that. Fine, not traveling to that region, I'll talk to people on the phone. I can do my job that way just fine, and walked out. Called my sales droid and said we'd work on the phone, not coming back up. Droid not happy but understood. Week later reception calls that I have a guest. Go to lobby and there is my director and the regional VP of sales wearing a blue shirt. Best apology ever. Edited to add. Someone asked why it was such a fast apology. So in the 80s network stuff was crazy expensive. The networking part of the deal was worth $1 plus million tying customers' existing mainframes. Fast host-to-host connections were new and a big deal. And some new mainframes. Together so all in all $4 to $5 million. And it wasn't going fly without some help. So, commissions for sales droid, manager, upper manager and VP of sales. So, a ton of money on the table for them. They got the deal. And I got a surprise bonus. But I still had to go to Boston. Last one is titled, I'm sure he can help me if you can't. During the 2008 recession, I had lost my job. One of my friends managed a Blockbuster Video and was able to get me working there a few nights a week. He rarely came in at night and it was managed by a younger employee that we will call Chelsea. Chelsea was 19 and I was 31 at the time. This will be important later. Chelsea did a great job running things when my friend wasn't there and really knew her stuff. She really enjoyed her job and the customers really liked her. One night, I'm checking in returns and I hear a lady getting really frustrated with her. She was wanting her to waive a ton of late fees and credit her for a movie that she said was terrible. We definitely didn't credit people for movies because they didn't like them and sometimes they would credit late fees. She pleaded her case to Chelsea for 15 to 20 minutes and Chelsea continued to explain that she had too many credits already. As I'm putting movies back in stock, I feel a tap on my shoulder. It's the same lady and she insists that I help her. I walk up to the front and stand next to Chelsea. I play dumb and ask what's going on. She points at me and looks Chelsea dead in the eye and says, he can help me since you won't. I ask her what's going on and make her explain everything over again for 15 minutes. As soon as she's done, I tell her that I would need to talk to my boss before I can get that approved. She asks, "Well, who is your boss then?" I look her dead in her eye and point right at Chelsea. That lady stormed out the door so fast and we never saw her again. Thanks for listening.